Hello everybody, this is KuberDK10 and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about how seasonal content has destroyed the Call of Duty series and why it's bad overall for gaming in general, but especially for Call of Duty. Now, as we know, Call of Duty is a yearly release title, and you have to pay $60 to $70 every year for the new game. Now, that $70 does get you more content overall nowadays, but also if you factor in that you might buy a battle pass or you might buy a skin or two, in general, that money that you would have spent on this game, in Black Ops 2, in Modern Warfare 3, in Call of Duty Ghosts, in any of those older games, you would have gotten so much more content for that money than you do nowadays. And let me explain why. So nowadays, whenever the game comes out, you are locked out of going any further than level 55. Or if you're lucky, the developers thought of this and they let you go to 100 or 250. Now you're stuck at 250 until the next season comes out, correct? On your rank. And now, what are you going to do? You're going to play the game for fun? You're going to go for camos? If you're not one of those types of people that goes for camos, I feel like there's no reason to play after you reach 250. And in general, I mean, the games are just less fun, so is there even a reason to play if you don't care about getting to 250? Not really. My brother is a good example of this. He plays the games, he enjoys them, but he does not get to 250 like I do. He doesn't grind at all, he doesn't go for camos, which is fair. I don't blame him for not wanting to go for these annoying camo challenges. I feel like this year though they are a little bit better, but they're still not perfect. Now in general, you only get 2 to 3 maps per season in these newer Call of Duty games. If you're lucky, you get 4. Whereas in the older games, every map pack that you bought, you would get 4 maps, plus a zombies map, plus maybe a new gun, if that was coming out with that DLC map pack that you were buying. And on top of this, don't forget that with the season pass, you could buy it for $50 instead of the $60 that you'd be spending overall if you bought each map pack individually. So you were saving a little bit of money. Sometimes they would even have the season pass be $40 if you bought it with the game. So it would be a $100 game, but you also get all the map packs for a total of about $10 per map pack, which is pretty fair. And so at the end of the Call of Duty's life cycle, you would have 16 additional maps on top of maybe the 16 maps that were in the game. Whereas nowadays, if a Call of Duty game releases, you're lucky if it even has 16 maps at launch, and you're even luckier if it gets more than 12 maps added overall throughout all the seasons. Add on top of this the fact that Warzone gets so many more different game modes, so many cool limited time events. Meanwhile, the main game, the main Call of Duty game at that time, just gets no love compared to the Warzone that's out at that time. As well as nowadays, you have a bunch of skins that aren't realistic and make the game feel very odd and jarring if you're not used to how the games are nowadays. And specifically in Black Ops 3, if you didn't want to buy the loot boxes, which are a terrible system as well, I know they're awful, but at least you could earn some cosmetics in that game. In this game, I feel like you can't earn anything unless you do their limited time events, which are limited time. So if you don't have the time, maybe you're in school and they do an event that's like 4 days long and you have to get 1,000,000 XP, let's say, you ain't going to be able to do that, right? Whereas someone who plays every day will be able to do that. And so they got to make these events easier, in my opinion, to get. But even then, after all of that, the skins that you unlock from these events are not as good as a skin that you can buy with your real hard-earned cash. They just want you to buy these skins instead of playing the game, you know what I mean? I mean, they do want you playing the game, don't get me wrong, right? They want people playing because that's why they add SBMM, that's why they do all this other stuff to try to get you to play as long as possible and keep you on the game. But they want you to spend money. Ultimately, that's all they want. They tried so hard with this game to make it seem like they aren't doing that with this one. And they try to do this with every game, really. But nowadays, their greed is insane. Now again, these skins do not affect gameplay. I totally understand they don't do anything like that, but they also kind of ruin the immersion, so they, in some way, they do kind of affect the game. I would say with this season they are adding quite a bit of content to the game. It seems like it's actually worth about as much as what they've done in the past with the map packs, considering they added shipment before this one came out, and they've added those 3 maps that were supposed to be, in this season, correct? Well, they haven't added Rio yet, you know what I mean. Whenever Rio comes out, then they would be at 4 maps total by the end of the season, which is about equal to what they would have done with the DLC map packs. But most of these Call of Duty games that have come out in the past couple years have not had that much content in Season 1. Specifically, I'm looking at Modern Warfare 2. They still haven't shown off what they're going to do for Season 2, so I'm still not hopeful that they're going to keep up with this content that they're bringing into the game. If they do remaster all 4 of the maps that they are going to from last year's game, well, they're not even remastering them, they're literally just porting them because this is a DLC, but I digress. That will mean that there is going to be about 4 maps in each DLC cycle or season, especially if there's going to be 6 seasons for this game. That means there's going to be about 20 to 24-ish maps added to this game, which is pretty nice considering there was 16 maps at launch. Also, another reason that this seasonal model hurts Call of Duty is the fact that Call of Duty is a yearly release game, so every time they get to Season 6, it's the end of the year for that game, right? And there's not going to be any more content coming. Whereas with other games like Fortnite, they'll come out with a season, and that like everything that you do in that season will carry on for the next 20, right? The next 30 seasons of Fortnite will have all that content in there. Rainbow Six Siege is another good example, right? Their year 4, their year 3 DLC, there's year 8 now, all that stuff that you got in those previous seasons come through and carry forward. Whereas with this game, they haven't really carried forward with any of the maps. They've only carried forward with the weapons, which is cool. I think next year's game, they should take all the maps that were added to this one and put them into that next year's game, so that way you have those 10 maps that are new, but then you have so much other content that you can still play, and that's still fun and still enjoyable. Basically what I'm getting at is that Call of Duty always resets after a year, and they always go back and have to re-add the maps and do all this and remaster these, and they have to get everything ready, and then by the time the game is like fully out and ready, the next game comes out. Whereas in other games, they might have a rough launch, they might have this, that, or whatever, but they update, iterate, add new maps, new guns, new everything, and then they keep that throughout the years, and they continue on. Whereas Call of Duty every year stops and has to go back and do things. Which is why in general I think we just need a Call of Duty Online kind of game where it has all the best maps and features from every game, pick 10, everything like that. But that'll never happen, that's just a dream universe. But in conclusion, Call of Duty just needs to stop doing the yearly release thing. They probably won't. Even though Microsoft has acquired Activision, I doubt they do anything about the practices at the company. Mainly because I think Microsoft, much like Activision, is kind of evil inherently. I think almost any company is evil just because they're basically built for the fact of greed. They serve only to get money, basically. So I don't think Microsoft will be much better. I mean, remember Microsoft released Halo Infinite in the state that it was at launch, where the store worked perfectly, but the game was like barren with any sort of content. I mean, like 9 maps I think at launch or something like that. They really released that game, so just remember that. I don't think Microsoft is going to save Call of Duty. I think the only thing that will save it is actual competition, maybe XDefiant, but I really doubt that XDefiant will really get a huge footing. The only game that has ever forced Call of Duty to change is actually Fortnite. That's the whole reason that Warzone and Blackout were even made for Call of Duty. I mean, Call of Duty was trying to just get a Battle Royale to stick, and it happened. And now they're trying to get that Battle Royale magic back to where it was, but I just don't think it's working. Yeah, hopefully the game gets better. Hopefully everything, works out. Yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. That should be it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.